Sometimes the best things happen out of nowhere. Sheila is a beautiful lioness who was rescued from an entertainment center in Texas. Her job at first was to entertain guests at high-profile events, but she eventually became famous for the best reasons, due to her devotion and loyalty. Sheila, who was one of the few lions, but had earned the most after suffering so much or working for years as a performer. Sheila's caretaker was particularly cruel to his lions. When they were no longer useful to him, he would throw them aside and stop taking care of them. After a life of hard labor and improper care, she was rescued by animal rights activists. Unfortunately, it seemed like she was too far gone by that point. Sheila was one lion of the rescued by the U.S. Department of Agriculture in July 2009. A lot of lions rescued that year were in poor shape, but Sheila's condition was particularly dire. The 15-month-old lioness was so weak that she lacked proper muscle coordination. She couldn't stand up on her own, let alone find the strength to lift her head in order to drink water. She was not only severely underweight, frail, and weak. Her rescuers also thought that there wasn't much hope for her, but they decided to take a chance and help her anyway. They wanted to at least give her an opportunity to pull through. Sheila could hardly lift her head up to eat or to get a drink of water. She had completely lost her appetite, and it seemed like she had completely lost her will to live. Sheila was in such bad condition that the U.S. Department of Agriculture decided to hand her over to an animal social welfare organization known as Instinct Exotics Wildlife Rescue and Education Center. This is an organization that specializes in sheltering stranded animals and nursing them back to health. The U.S. Department of Agriculture told Instinct that if Sheila's condition didn't improve, they should strongly consider euthanizing her. It wasn't fair to allow Sheila to suffer. Sheila was brought to Instinct and started settling in. At first, she wasn't responding well to treatment. Even so, her rescuers were determined to save Sheila's life. She wasn't able to eat food on her own, so the team would sit with her and hand-feed her. Even though the team at Instinct was doing everything they could to help Sheila, it didn't look like she was improving much. Her health seemed to be pretty much the same as when she arrived. The rescuers at Instinct had experience working with wild animals in poor conditions before, but they had never seen a case quite like this. It was as though Sheila was refusing to get better. They thought she had completely given up. After days of weakness and lethargy, Sheila stopped moving altogether. She would throw up whatever she ate, and it seemed like her health was getting worse. This put the rescuers in a really tough position. The team at Instinct were at a total loss. They were doing everything they could to help her, but nothing seemed to be working. After a few weeks of tireless work, they decided to consider USDA's advice of euthanizing this big cat. Sheila's life had become painful and difficult. The team had to face the fact that the most merciful thing to do was to give Sheila a peaceful end of life. The team really didn't want to lose Sheila. She was a beautiful animal who would spend her whole life in captivity. They wanted to give her a chance to enjoy the life that she had left. Sheila wasn't like a lion's. Her fur was very blonde, which made her stand out from the other big cats. The Instinct team had discovered something about this beautiful lion, but Sheila was suffering from a disease called toxoplasmosis, an illness caused by a parasite that negatively impacts the immune system with symptoms such as loss of appetite and lethargy. Sheila also had a vitamin and deficiency. A treatment plan was immediately put into place for her. This meant that there were parasites in Sheila's blood. Now that her caretakers knew what was wrong with Sheila, they just had to get her to take her medicine. Years of improper care caused Sheila's immune system to weaken, which is how she developed the disease. If not properly and properly treated, this disease can be fatal. Sheila's caretakers immediately started treating her with antibiotics. It had taken a while to arrive at diagnosis, and Sheila was starting her antibiotic regimen quite late into her condition, but this was Sheila's only hope. It's no easy task to get a stubborn lion to take a whole bunch of antibiotics. Sheila was difficult, and at times, it would take an hour for the Instinct team to get her to take your medicine. However, immediately after Sheila started her antibiotics, she started feeling better. Pretty soon, she was able to walk and eat on her own. Naturally, all of Sheila's caretakers thought that the improvement in her health was due to the medicine she was taking. But in reality, she was getting better so quickly because of a completely different reason. One that nobody had noticed before. Sheila had a different kind of medicine. The enclosure Sheila was living in, had another enclosure attached to it. When the employees at Insync discovered what was happening between the two enclosures, they were completely shocked. What do you think it was?
Also, if you've not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these animal stories every day. Now, back to the story.
It was a lion. A very handsome male lion, to be exact. It seems like Sheila had developed a crush on her neighbor. From the very beginning, these two had formed a very close bond. Sheila's love for Khan was the reason she was able to progress so quickly. Now that she had a relationship with another lion, she had found the will to live. Also, Khan had a similar backstory to Sheila. Khan was a 6-year-old lion who was rescued by Insync just a few months before Sheila's rescue. Khan was also a lion who used to work in the entertainment industry. He used to entertain audiences in private parties by showing up as Roar or balancing on his 2 back legs. Khan was also mistreated by his handlers, and when he arrived at the rescue facility, he was in very poor health, just like Sheila was. Maybe these two were able to bond quickly because they had lived through similar circumstances. What do you think? When Chan was finally rescued by the Instinct team, he was in a horrible condition. He was malnourished and weighed about 100 pounds less than the average lion of his age. He had been beaten and overworked by his owners. He was forced to live in a tiny cage that stunted his growth and compromised his bones. He became so frustrated with living conditions that he did something totally unexpected. Due to the way he was treated and how he was forced to live, Khan chewed his own tail off out of boredom and frustration. The tip of his tail had become completely raw and swollen. Had he not been rescued in time, he would have developed an infection and died. Khan was very aggressive. When he first came to the rescue center, it was difficult for the team to interact with him and to help him. Because he hadn't been given enough food when he was living with his previous owner, he was very aggressive when it came to feeding time. Khan was in many ways a very dangerous lion. Khan was a fighter, and unlike Sheila, he never lost his will to live. He was able to recover quickly, and soon his aggressive beast turned into a calm and relaxed animal. He fit right in with the other lions at the rescue center, and he seemed to really enjoy his new life in retirement. His aggression was mostly in effect on his health issues, and now that his health issues are resolved, he is much less aggressive. He became so good-natured that the workers at the center were able to build him some cinder block stairs so that he could get into the den in his enclosure more easily. Now he had a lot more room to stretch out and relax. This place was a lot different from the small cage that Chan was used to living in. Now Khan just needed a friend to play with. Lions are very social creatures who tend to live in packs, which is why it's especially upsetting that both Khan and Sheila were isolated from another lion for so long. As soon as Khan and Sheila were placed next to each other, they immediately developed a friendship. This friendship was the key to Sheila's recovery. Both of these wild cats had gone through the same kind of tragedy. However, the situations that both were a little different. Khan and Sheila's friendship developed into something more than friendship. The two had spent a lot of time playing with each other. Sheila spent the next few months showing off for Khan, and Khan started his stuff for her. The two lions clearly had some kind of love for each other. That is, if you believe that lion can fall in love. Have you seen The Lion King? The workers at Insync saw that these two lions were clearly affectionate towards each other. They decided to let them date and to let them share an enclosure. But before they did that, they spayed Sheila so that there were no happy accidents. The staff organized short dates every day for lovebirds. After 3 months of dating, the team let them get married. A special enclosure was built for them, where they spent quality time, and Sheila seems to be the boss in their relationship. These two are serious relationship goals, don't you think? Sheila is absolutely in love with her husband. She also enjoys playing with cardboard boxes and getting a lot of attention from her caretakers. Khan is very possessive over his wife. He gets very jealous when other lions look at Sheila, and he does everything in his power to protect her. Keep watching to find out what Khan does when another lion approaches Sheila. Khan knows that he's super lucky to have a wife as strong and as beautiful as Sheila. Khan likes to make sure that she's safe at all times. The two rescued animals make such a perfect couple, but what happened to the people who abused them? The man who abused Sheila and Khan is no longer entitled to keep big cats or wild animals. He lost his ability to keep lions, which affected his business. However, Some animal rights activists thought that this man should receive a more severe penalty. They thought he should spend time in prison or at least be fined for what he did to these magnificent creatures. What do you think? This story makes us believe in happy endings, and it makes us want to do everything we can to make sure that no more lions are stolen from the natural homes and overworked for human entertainment. Behind every great lion is an even greater lioness. What did you think of this story? Tell us in the comments below. We love hearing what you have to say. Thanks for watching. See you next time.